All right. Well, I think we are ready to hand things off to Angela Dion. She is the Senior Project Manager with Nielsen Kellerman. Welcome, Angela, and thank you for joining us.
Good morning. Thanks so much for having me. I'm super excited to speak to everyone today about product and project management here at Nielsen Kellerman and as a whole.
Fantastic. Well, I will hand things over to you and look forward to hearing what you have to share with us today.
Okay, great. I will begin sharing my screen. Okay. So just before I start, I wanted to let everyone know that this is actually an interactive media presentation. So you can see some instructions at the very top of the screen. If you are on a tablet or a PC or even just your mobile phone, you can go to www.menti.com, enter in that code, and I have some questions and things that I'll ask, and it's just a nice interactive thing. We'll make a word cloud together. We'll see what kind of skill sets you think you have as an audience for product management, different types of stuff. So if you'd like to join in and add your insight into the presentation, that would be brilliant. So I'll just give everyone a second to go to www.menti.com, enter in that code, and then on your screen, you should see the exact same thing that I'm presenting. So your screen would look very similar to this. And if you get there, you can throw up a thumbs up or a heart to let me know you're there. Excellent, I see some coming in, so brilliant. Just give everyone a few more minutes, but on the screens that I have participation, the code and the information will be up at the top, so it won't be a big deal if you missed out just now. So I'm gonna go ahead and get started. So we're gonna talk about product and project management. Okay, so the main takeaways I want you to have from today are a little bit about me, so that's not that big of a deal, that's just an introduction. Most importantly, I want you to understand what product and project management is and all of the opportunity that exists for those career paths across so many industries. It's an amazing career path to take, either product or project management. That's why. And we'll talk a little bit about the skills and the practical applications. And we'll talk a bit about product and project management at Nielsen Kellerman and our company. All right, so a little bit about me, just so you have a background. I'm Senior Project Manager at Nielsen Kellerman. My education background is from University of Maryland. I have a degree in biology from there, and also the University of Pennsylvania, where I have degrees in business and actually cognitive neuroscience. So I have a super broad kind of STEM background that has really set me up to kind of go in any direction that I want. That's what's so brilliant about STEM. My career pathway has been varied and kind of very curved, so I've gone many different ways. I started at Johnson & Johnson in animal science research. I then moved to Penn Vet, where I was for 10 years, and I started in animal veterinary science, and I did horse veterinary work in physiological research. And that kind of segued into, I worked with a lot of our IT equipment, a lot of our machinery, hooked up to all kinds of different IT systems. So then I got into IT, and via IT, I moved into project management because we needed to move from paper medical records to entirely technological, computer-based technical medical records. So that allowed me to just segue right in from medicine into IT, and it was an amazing experience, was there for 10 years. Then I moved to MC3, which was pharmaceutical e-learning development. So all of the pharmaceutical reps that go out, I helped develop all of their learning technologies to understand the drugs that they were trying to sell a little bit better. And then I moved to NK, which has been the best move I've ever made. So don't ever be afraid to take risks in your career changes. With your STEM background, you're going to be adaptable, you're going to be curious, have a thirst for knowledge, and you'll be able to take risks with all of that education, experience, and knowledge behind you. So don't ever be afraid to do that. At NK, I'm a project manager, and I kind of wear many hats. There's always so much to do here, and it's just something that I really love. The people, the projects, the work, and the products we make are amazing. So we'll talk a little bit about that later. And then just always remember your heart. All of the things that make you, you, it's just as important as your education and your career paths to ensure that you have a work-life balance, that you cultivate the things that make you happy. So these are a couple of things that make me happy: my animals, music, baking, friends, sports, that kind of thing. So don't forget that part. And why we're talking about product and project management today: every single one of these bubbles has an opportunity for a product manager or a project manager. In education and training, you're going to find education project managers. In marketing, you're going to have project managers. In finance, you're going to need banking product managers. In science, in agriculture, it's going to be in every single one of these pathways. You'll find an opportunity in either one of these careers, whether it's product or project management. So that's why it's super important for you to get an idea about what they do, about what these careers can offer you. Right, so what is a product manager? So right now we're talking about product, not projects, so products. So product managers are jacks of all trade. They wear so many different hats. And it's really important for them to be adaptable and to have a thirst for understanding what the best product they can make is. So it takes a lot of work and a lot of adaptability and variability in their skill set. So the real definition, like the kind of technical definition of product management, is it's an organizational function within a company dealing with new product development. So we're making new things. Business justification, so why we want to make those new things, how they can benefit our business and our customers. Planning, verification, forecasting, pricing, product launch, marketing. They have their hands in all of these business units, business processes. So if you like to be busy all the time and do all kinds of different things, and you want to make awesome stuff, product management is definitely for you. So like I said, a great product manager has the brain of an engineer, the heart of a designer, and the speech of a diplomat. So they have to be able to not only think from an engineering perspective about how to make the best thing, they have to have the artistic vision of how to make it kind of aesthetically pleasing or beneficial in some way to our end users. And they have to convince people, like our stakeholders, like our CEOs, why we need to spend the money or invest the research to make this thing. So thanks, Deep Nishar. He's the Vice President of Product at LinkedIn, for that excellent quote about what a product manager actually is. So now that you kind of understand a little bit what product management does in an organization and what a product manager is as a person, I'd like you to throw out just one word. You can go to menti.com, use that code, and throw out one word about a skill you think a product manager should have. I'll give us a few seconds to hopefully populate a word cloud. Yay, absolutely, they are definitely creative. They have to be organized. Yes, leadership, excellent. Yep, they always have to be the voice of the company and the customer. So professionalism is a great word. Multitasker, excellent. Open-minded, absolutely. They always have to kind of view things from someone else's eyes. So they want to see how a customer might appreciate a product, for sure. Analysts, that's a great one. They have to analyze so many different things. Team-oriented, definitely. They have to deal with every business unit in a company. Outgoing, it is important. I'm kind of an introverted extrovert, I guess. So being outgoing is a soft skill that if you don't have, it's easy to develop, but it is important for a product manager, that's for sure. Solution oriented, absolutely. Confident, that's a great one. I love how we have a mix of soft skills and and tech skills. So that's really great. Communication, super important, absolutely. Yeah, so these are all perfect words to describe a product manager. So thank you for contributing to that. And this will be shared afterwards, so you'll have access to all of this information and all of the cool inputs that you have afterward. All right, so based on what you already said, you kind of already hit the nails on the head. So a product manager is like a mini CEO of the product. They are excellent communicators, you hit that one. Voice of the customer, experts in the market. They're technical enough. So they're kind of technical enough to be dangerous, but we tend to leave, you know, the technical details to our mechanical engineers, our electrical engineers, our software and hardware development teams. But product managers have to be technical enough for certain. They have to be a motivator, so they have to be persuasive and be able to negotiate why they want to make this product. Definitely team players. Someone else put that in the word cloud. Excellent. And they have to listen. They have to listen to the customer. They have to listen to their development team if we have to make changes. So they have to be good listeners too. And they are not project managers. That's me. They're not developers. They're not designers. They don't go get things for the product. They're not a customer support rep. They might play some of those roles sometimes, but that's really not what the role is. So they have to be excellent kind of team players, voice of the customer, voice of the product. All right, so knowing that, I have 3 deliverable things that a product manager might need to worry about. And I'd love for you to, knowing what you know now about product managers, I'd like for you to rank these in importance based on how important you think these should be to a product manager. So making product X within the expected budget, making sure product X does what customers need and want, making product X within the expected timeline, making sure the product X dev team understands the end user requirements. So if you were to rank these in importance, excellent, wow, this is great. I love seeing it in real time, excellent. Just give everyone a few more minutes to enter in some info. I like how budget and timeline, people are kind of flipping back and forth. So we'll just maybe a few more seconds to get some answers in. Excellent. So everyone, wonderful job. It is absolutely the most important thing to make sure that the product does what customers need and want. Otherwise, why are you making this thing? And then second, you got it exactly right again, making sure the product team understands the end user requirements. So if it doesn't matter if we know what customers need and want, if we can't tell our team and have our cohesive, wonderful team make the thing do what our customers need and want. So those are the 2 most important things in this list for what a product manager would need to do for product X. So awesome job. The timeline and the budget, yes, they care about that as product managers, but they kind of leave that to me as the project manager to worry about. So excellent job ranking that. Okay, so moving on from product management, we're going to talk a little bit about what I do, which is project management. And I like to kind of, like everyone's like, oh, my job is like herding cats, but mine really is. And they're not even just cats, they're kittens. They're just everywhere. They just go everywhere. They don't, it's always herding resources, herding vendors, herding money and schedule and timeline and just thinking about all of the different variables that are important to get a project done in time, under budget, and making that product the way we want to make it. So the definition technically is project management is a process of leading the work of a team to achieve goals, meet the success criteria within a specified time. And the primary challenge of project management is to achieve all of the project goals within given constraints. So constraints could be time, it could be budget, it could be resources, it could be timing for a market launch of a project. So there's all kinds of variables you have to think about and kind of wrangle or cat herd into success. So it's always a challenge, it's a ton of fun, and I'm never ever bored, ever. And I like this quote because it makes it sound a little bit better than herding cats, but it's the art of developing structure in complexity, where the independent variables of time, cost, resources, and very importantly, human behavior converge into a shared goal. So where product managers spend a lot of time worrying about products and the kind of technical aspects of achieving a product pathway, I spend a lot of my time kind of analyzing not only just those variables of time, cost, and resources, but the people, making sure our teams are cohesive and communicating and working efficiently together. And that is a super important part of project management for sure. Right, so knowing a little bit about project management now, I'd like to kind of gauge the audience's assessment of themselves as project management skill sets. Like, what do you think you have? All of these skills are super important to a project manager, no matter what industry you're in. And these are just important life skills to have. They can apply to any career path you decide to take, whether it's project management, whether it's engineering specific, whether it's research. All of these are going to be important. So we've got leadership, effective communication, schedule management, risk management, budgeting, resource management, critical thinking, and again, empathy, kind of viewing the world through someone else's eyes. It's always going to be important. So this is fun seeing the kind of change in skill set here. Another thing that's I didn't put up here, but it's always good to have a sense of humor. You can't ever take yourself too seriously. So I should have added that one in. Just give a few more minutes for people to enter stuff in. But overall, it looks a little bit like a lot of strong leadership, which I would expect with this audience. That totally makes sense. Empathy, wonderful to have that. Effective communication, critical thinking, of course. A little bit of risk management. People aren't too sure about how well skilled they are in risk management and maybe budgeting, but those are things to think about, and they're pretty easy to develop. Risk management, there's lots of ways you can kind of think about that, listing out pros and cons, doing some judgment and decision making by stack ranking things in priority. So lots of approaches to risk management. But it looks like our audience would make pretty much everyone here would be an effective project manager for sure. That's awesome to see. All right, so now that you know a bit more about project management, the skill set you need, and what I would have to worry about as a project manager, if you could just go ahead and rank these project deliverables in importance based on how a project manager would care about them, that would be great. We've got making sure Project X status is communicated clearly and often, making sure Project X is resourced with a cohesive and effective team, making sure Product X is made within the expected timeline, and making sure Product X is made within the expected budget. Just give a few more seconds, see if anything will be flipped at all. But again, you guys nailed it. It's definitely incredibly important to make sure that the project, oh, you got it in at the last second. It's certainly the most important thing to make sure the project is resourced with a cohesive and effective team. If your people cannot work together to achieve a goal, you'll never get there. You'll never make a brilliant product if you don't have a brilliant team. And luckily here at NK, that's exactly what we have. And making sure Project X status is communicated clearly and often is absolutely the second most important thing to do. Because if you do have changes with the budget, if you do have changes with the timeline, if you can communicate why those things are happening, and if you can predict that they're going to happen slightly in advance, then oftentimes it's okay. It's okay to go over budget sometimes. It's okay to go over timelines. And very often things happen. We're all human and we have to deal with other people and outside third parties to get some of our projects done. So there's always going to be risk to budget and timeline. And as long as your team is awesome and you get it done and you can communicate why these things are happening, you'll be golden. So excellent job ranking these. All right, so just quickly, a day in my life as a project manager at NK. These are all things I literally did yesterday. So I updated the presentation today with the stuff I did yesterday. So again, we wear many hats. We get to do so many different things. It's varied, it's interesting, and it's a ton of fun every single day. So I updated our executive stakeholders, so our CEO and our CEOs across the company. I roadmapped projects and resources for 2021 with our director of product management. I led project teams. I had so many calls yesterday, both our technical and our project teams. So we do scrums. So every day we spend 10 to 15 minutes just going around the room saying what we're working on, if we have any roadblocks, and communicating any important topics. So it's just a quick and effective way to get everyone together quickly, discuss what we need to discuss, and make sure the project's rolling right along. I wrote some functional specifications, so just adding some detail to what our product needs to do and how it needs to function. I tested one of our newest app releases, so it's going live actually today as we're on this call. So I tested both some Android and iOS platform releases. That was a lot of fun. I wireframed some user interface design, so I just poorly drew some ideas about how we would want a screen to look in one of our apps, and then our UI UX designers make that look really nice with my little sketches. I did some sprint planning. So the work that our development team does, they do it in sprints. They do it in 2-week sprints. And I just organized some of those tasks in ClickUp. And I took a beta tester on the phone. I walked them through some weather station user errors that they were having. They were just pushing some wrong buttons, entering in some wrong information. I just walked them through how to kind of fix that. So lots of varied things to do. And I checked out the production line for that new weather station that's being beta tested. So our production team out on our manufacturing floor is setting up their SOP, is standard operating procedure, for putting that thing together. So that's what I went and looked at yesterday. All right, and just to wrap up, a tool set for product and project management. We kind of hit all of the things, the soft skills, the hard skills, but you already have what it takes, clearly. Work ethic, the curiosity, critical thinking, adaptability, empathy. I could go on and on and on, but your background in through FAME and in STEM education, you're going to go far, no matter what path you take. So you've already got what it takes, which is awesome. But 3 biggest tips I can give you are to maintain technological proficiency. So there's always new tools, new software, new ways that product and project managers can manage their time, their schedule, their resources, their budget, their tasks. So just keep up to date with new things that come out. The more novel experiences you have and the more new technologies you can keep up with, you're just going to be ahead of the game at every step of the way. So develop and nurture your soft skills. While having a background in STEM, you have all of the kind of the tech and the engineering and the scientific critical thinking. You have to always think about the people. You're going to have to surround yourself with great people. I'm sure you already have. You just look around the room, people sitting next to you, and they're awesome. But you're going to have to develop those soft skills of being empathetic, communicating effectively, and being adaptable and being able to negotiate with different personalities. And like I said, surround yourself with the right people, find the right fit for you, and don't be afraid to make changes if something just doesn't feel right. So talking about surrounding yourself with the right people, working at Nielsen Kellerman has been wonderful. And what we do at NK is we develop and build rugged electronic instruments and software that help our customers to succeed in their profession or passion. And that is our mission statement. So we don't just make stuff, we do it for a reason and for a purpose, to help people succeed in professions or their passions. We have a quick video, I don't know if we have time for, to just see. If we don't have time for it, I'll just leave it in the presentation. But it just gives you a cool overview of our manufacturing floor and kind of what we do and what we make at NK.
I would say, Angela, if that video is something you have the link to put in into our chat, so yep, everyone can access that. We've had a couple questions come into the Q&A, and I want to make sure we get around to those. People are really interested in learning more about project yes, management and getting to know you a little better.
Okay, so switch over to questions.
Yeah, if you don't mind, and we can pull obviously that video link and share it in the chat as well for you. I just have to start by saying fantastic session. I have teachers texting me saying, I've never seen Menti before. This is an incredible resource for a really engaging session. So
Awesome.
fantastic job.
Thank you.
I know I learned a lot personally.
Great.
So yes, so we had a couple questions coming in, and for those of you who have additional questions that have not submitted, we only have a few minutes left. So if we can't get around to them, we will send them to Angela after the fact. But first and foremost is from Patrick, is product and project management used in all or most industries?
Absolutely. Yeah, I think on slide 4, I displayed the FAME career pathways. And yes, if you can pick anything, literally. If you want to go be a sports analyst, you are going to have a product or project manager that's going to be overseeing kind of the output of your sports analysis. If you go into banking or finance, you're going to have products that are coming through the banking and financial systems that need product and project managers. Human resources, agriculture, any kind of research that you get into, there are research specific product and project managers. So it's going to be anywhere you look.
Good to know. So what you're learning here today, attendees, you can take with you to any industry. Okay, so a few additional questions. Emily asks, Angela, how did you gain your confidence to begin project management?
That's a great question. I think, frankly, it has been my interest and my background in education, the opportunities I had in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. Definitely, I hate to kind of harp on that, but it's true. Having that skill set that you gain from this type of analytical thinking, it just provides you such a wonderful background to be able to make decisions, to act on them clearly and confidently, and to kind of just know that no matter where you turn, whether you want to go bake something or whether you want to go have a conversation with a person, you have the skill set at hand, ready to kind of face any challenge or any opportunity. So it's really that background in STEM.
Seems like that. That's great. Perfect. So moving to our next question, Chris asks, what tips do you have for high school students interested in project management, but not sure what industry they want to pursue?
Well, my tips would be to just continue to develop the skill sets that we talked about today. They are going to apply to any direction you take, even if you do something outside of STEM. If you want, like I said, a project could be considered baking a cake. Like, you have to think about all of the things you have to buy, the budget you have to buy it in, the process and order in which you do the things, and how long it's going to take. So something as simple as baking a cake, project management skill sets can apply. So if you think about it that way, and just developing that critical thinking, organization, and kind of process planning, that's going to serve you well no matter what direction you go in.
That's great advice. I think the next couple of questions are more quick fire, which is great because I know we're about out of time. We had a few anonymous questions come in. One would like to know, what is risk management?
Risk management it's kind of like a juggling act. So we at NK, we approach it early in our product development process, but it is really the process by which you look at something that you want to do, you assess what things could go wrong, and you kind of rank them in a priority of likelihood and impact. So how likely is this thing to go wrong? And if it does go wrong, what kind of impact will it have on whatever you're trying to do? So having risk analysis and just knowing before you even start what could go wrong is a hugely beneficial thing to understand and to plan out and just look at before you start anything at all. It could be, again, baking a cake. If you're like, oh, my oven's broken, well, that's a risk. I need to have it fixed. So it's kind of like that.
Good to know. I was wondering as well. So I'm glad someone posed that question.
Yeah,
our last two, we'll see if we can wrap these up really quickly.
Okay.
Great questions coming in, everyone. We had an anonymous question. What are the requirements to work as a product manager as far as school degrees or experience?
Sure. It really depends on the industry that you go into, but I'll use NK as an example. So our product managers typically have advanced degrees, or at least a bachelor's degree in, for example, mechanical engineering, or I have a degree in biology. I've got a degree in cognitive neuroscience. So as long as you have the kind of STEM skill set and the background and education there, then you really are going to be prepared to be a product or project manager in whichever industry you go into. Some might want people a little more specialized. So if I were going into pharmaceuticals specifically, they might want a bio background. If I'm going into construction project management, they might want a civil engineering background. So it's a little dependent, but again, the skill set is so broad and so valuable that you can go in any direction.
Fantastic. Well, we had one final question and we are out of time. So Angela, if you'd like to respond within the chat, Ryan's asking the best product that you've ever produced. I'm sure that's probably not a quick response, but you do have the ability to answer directly in there, or Ryan, we will follow up with you after today. I do want to say, Angela, this has just been a fantastic session. I've learned so much about not just Nielsen Kellerman and your background, but about a role that I knew very little about. And I'm sure most of our attendees will say the same. So thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it.